Hello everybody, I am back with my Agents of S.H.I.E.L.D. Season 5 rewatch review video. Before we get into the video though, I kind of wanted to share something with you guys. I just saw on Twitter that I've been trying to stay off because I didn't want to get spoiled or anything on what happens in Season 7 because, as I've told y'all, on Twitter, I've talked about it. I stopped watching the show after the first episode of Season 6. And I really feel so bad about it, and that's why I rewatched all the other seasons and why I'm making these videos, because I felt so bad that I left. Me and my family were just really hurt and upset that Coulson had died, and we didn't know if we would get Fitz back, and it just really hurt us because we cared a lot about those characters. So it hurt us to see that they might be dead, and we didn't know how we could continue to watch it. But recently I saw the show was ending, and I knew it was coming, but I saw commercials that the show was going to end soon, and I realized what the mistake I had made, because I'm going to talk more about it in another video after I finish rewatching the seasons. Watching Season 6 and watching the episodes of Season 7 that have came out, which I should be done by this Wednesday, on the day that I'm posting, the day that I'm filming this, which is Sunday, the 2nd, August 2nd. But I should be done on Wednesday, watching the remaining episodes. The episodes that have came out in Season 7 so far, and hopefully be caught up and watch episode 11 live. But as I was saying, though, I saw that it was ending, and I just felt so terrible because I've watched this show since I was 14 years old, so it's been a huge part of my life for a very long time, and I was just hurt that the characters that I loved might be killed off, and I left, and I should not have done that. It was wrong of me to give up on it like that, and I just feel so terrible. So that's why I'm doing all these and filming these videos, to give tribute to the show, to just try and make up for leaving when I did. But and I know it's cheesy, I know it's corny, but when something was a big part of your life for so long, and it did help me through the huge developmental years of 14 through, I'm 20 now, maybe 21. That is a long time of my life, and so many memories I had with this show, with my family, and I just feel so bad that I left. So I'm doing everything I can to make up for it now, and that's why I'm doing this. But I saw, just before I filmed this video, because I've been trying to stay off to Twitter, but I found out that this is going to be the second to last episode, because we're going to be doing a double episode, I guess, on August 12th. So this Wednesday, when I hopefully get caught up, it'll be the episode before that, and it just hit me. I was like, wow, 2 weeks, and it's going to be over, and it's just crazy, really. I've always been that kid that just sobs whenever a show ends, just because I get so involved with it, and like Hannah Montana, even Disney Channel shows, I for weeks as a kid, and this show has been around for so long. I'm not sure I'm gonna be a mess, y'all, and it just hit me like, wow, I have literally 2 weeks about before it's over, and I left it, and I'm only gonna have 2 weeks to watch it live with everybody else, and so yeah, that upset me. So if I'm a little bit emotional in this video, that's why, because it just hit me like, wow, this show that has been a part of my life for so long, and I've had so many like memories with it, with my family. It's gonna be over in 2 weeks. Like, I mean, I know it's a little over 2 weeks, it is, but I mean about 2 weeks, and I don't know, it hit me. So I'm sorry if I'm a little bit emotional, but I'm going to have another video talking about all my memories with the show and just kind of like thanking everybody and talking about good memories with it and all that after I finish getting caught up on season 7. So probably after Wednesday, maybe Thursday, I might film that video. But right now I'm going to go ahead and get into season 5, and I'm sorry for that soapbox at the beginning of this video. I just kind of felt like I had to tell y'all because, I don't know, I just thought it was something big that I felt, and I just thought, hey, I'll share it. Anywho, let's get into season 5 review. So I had watched this season. I watched all of it. And before I had, and I remembered a lot of it because it was, you know, fresher in my mind than past seasons. And so basically I'm going to give you a recap of what happened in this season, like the big events and everything, and then I'm going to talk about the different characters and what they went through and their big character developments that they had in this season. And so I hope you guys enjoy this video, and here we go. So season 5 starts out with the team in the future in space. And yeah, you know, last season 4 we saw that the team was picked up from the diner they were in, and they thought it was law enforcement coming to take them to prison. Turns out no, it was Enoch taking them to the future and in space. And they left Fitz though, and we didn't really know why Fitz was left. But the rest of the team went to space, and they had to fight Kree dictators that had taken over what was left of humanity, because we find out that apparently Earth was destroyed, and everybody thinks it was because of Sky, or I'm sorry, Daisy, or Quake as they would call her, and that she is a destroyer of worlds, that she destroyed Earth, and that's why there's only a small remainder of humanity left on this ship in space in the future, and the Kree dictators have taken over it, and it's just like the worst place ever, and everybody is basically just trying to survive there. They have pretty much no life, and everything that they live for is just from the Kree, and it's terrible. And so the team has to fight the Kree, and Simmons gets taken by the main leader. His name is like Cassius, but I can't say it very well. Cassius, yeah, it's a hard alien Kree name to say, but yeah, she's taken by him, and she's like one of his select humans that he like gets because he thinks she's like so perfect, and like which is perfect. So there's this select group, and then they're basically like his servants, but they get maybe treated better, which they're not. I would rather not be one of those people, and you know, but he chose Simmons nonetheless. And so Daisy tries to save her, ends up being taken captive, and is part of this inhuman trading thing that they have going on, and where Cassius, or where he shows off all the inhumans they have and sells them to other horrible alien people for a profit. And so Sky gets taken, and that's not good. And then we meet Deke, who we'll talk about later on, but he's part of the future, you know, few humans that are left, and he sells Daisy out, but he says later on it's just so that he could get her in there so she could save Simmons. But still, we're kind of like, really, dude? But so she ends up saving Simmons though, and they get out. And meanwhile, Coulson, Yo-Yo, May, and Mac are all working for this horrible, like, human guy that is like, he sells people like different things. He's really grimy, like, can't remember what his name is, but he's like a really big bad dude. And they're working for him basically as his like indentured servants. And they're trying to figure a way out of that. And they end up meeting some cute little people. Not they're just really sweet. They're not kids, but they're like young people that try to help them, and believe that they were sent there to help them and to help save the world. Because there's a select group of people, the elders, who believe that these SHIELD agents would come from the past to save them and save the world. So they're all trying to figure that out. They end up saving Daisy and Simmons, but it's not really them who saves Daisy and Simmons. It's actually Fitz, who figured out a way to come to the future from the past. And basically how he did that, he was taken prisoner by law enforcement officials and ended up getting out with the help of my man Hunter, who comes back for season 5 to help Fitz out of prison. And so he helps him out, and they find out a way, with the help of Enoch, to put Fitz in a cryo-freeze chamber, and I'm sorry if I'm saying that wrong, and have him wait for however many years, I think it's like 70 plus years, into the future in that cryo-freeze chamber, and then he would come out at that correct time in the future and go and save them and take them back to the past. So that is exactly what he did. 70 years came, Enoch got him out of that chamber, woke him up, and they went and they got Simmons and Daisy. And then they met up with the rest of the team, and they figured out a way to go back through the monolith with the help of Robin, who is now an old lady. And we find out that apparently in this, apocalyptic future, May actually became her mother. And but we'll get more into that in a little bit. So they end up coming back home, and then they have to defeat a whole nother. It's all connected, because what happens when they go back to the past is apparently like the result of what happens when they get back to the past is what creates the apocalyptic future, and they're trying to fix that timeline, that time loop, when they go back to the past. So they have to fight Hale when they get back, and General Hale, she at first obviously is like not good. She was a Hydra agent, we find out, and she has this crazy daughter who she trained to be an assassin, and actually we find out that that Hale was impregnated with Ruby, her daughter, by Whitehall, to be like a weapon. And of course it's Whitehall, am I right? Because he's like the creepy, we gotta admit, he is the creepiest villain in the show's history. Like, everything that has happened in this show, like bad and good, you can usually always trace it back to Whitehall. Okay, he is just like the worst. But yeah, so we find out, of course, Whitehall was behind that. It was behind that evil Ruby crazy chick. And yeah, Ruby ends up cutting Yo-Yo's arms off, so immediately we're like, yeah, we don't like you, get out of here. But so the team has to fight them, and then we all find out that Hale's like in contact with a group of aliens called the Confederacy, and that they told her, and they told her how to deal with Hydra for years, and they said that, oh, there's this evil alien. I bet y'all can guess who that evil alien guy is. His name starts with a T and it ends with an S, and he is obsessed with some stones, and yeah, so y'all can guess who that is. Yeah, Thanos. So they say Thanos is coming, and we're gonna help y'all in exchange for some weapons and some Inhumans. So Hale is like, okay, we need S.H.I.E.L.D. because S.H.I.E.L.D.'s got all these Inhumans and these weapons, and if we can form a deal with them, then we can save the world, whatever. And obviously she is wrong and way off on siding or, you know, even going along with the Confederacy people, because those alien people are horrible. But she thinks it's the right thing to do, and she also thinks that if she completes this Destroyer of Worlds program that Whitehall started and that Ruby was made for, then that the Destroyer of Worlds can save the world from Thanos and Thanos's forces. So they try to get the gravitonium, which is going to create this Destroyer of Worlds, which, you know, we hear about in the future, and everybody thinks it's Daisy. And she tries to do it. She experiments on Creel, who does come back again. He's been on the show off and on since season 2. She gets him. She tries to use the gravitonium on him. It does not end well. We see that that evil scientist from season 1 that got trapped in the gravitonium is like now in his mind because he soaked in that gravitonium, so now they drive him crazy. Also, Quinn, the evil idiot who shot Sky, is also, I can call her Sky because in season 1 she was Sky. He shot her. He has also been absorbed into that thing, into the gravitonium, so he's also like, and they're fighting back and forth in his brain and driving him crazy. And this Hale's like, we could use Daisy Johnson, put her in that, and Coulson's like, heck no, because I've seen the future and I know that does not end well. We're not going to use Sky. Obviously, also he's like, Sky is my baby. You're not going to put her in that. So that's another reason, I think. But yeah, they end up capturing Coulson to try to make him see that their side is good, this, that, and the other. They also captured Talbot to try and get information out of him about where the gravitonium was and all these different things were. And he goes crazy. Talbot goes crazy while he's in there. Really, y'all, real crazy. You know, in season 4 we saw he was shot by Daisy's LMD that Ada, all that made. So that messed up his brain as well. But then all these months and months of torture also really messed him up. So she had him as well. And then we see that, season 5, everything horrible basically happens. Meanwhile, while all that's going on, there is this Hale implanted this bomb in the lighthouse that is in the new headquarters when they get back from the past. And the bomb blew up the monoliths, and it created this feared dimension abnormality portal thing, and all the team's fears were coming out of it, and there was that big disaster, and then they had to get gravitonium to seal that rift or whatever. And then Fitz goes crazy, experiments on Sky. We'll get to that. Daisy, and we'll get to that in a little. So that's crazy. And then all the stuff with Hale's going on, all the stuff with Hale's crazy daughter who's getting power hungry. And like I said, she cuts off Yo-Yo's arms. And so that's bad for Yo-Yo, obviously. And that affects, the team. And then eventually, though, Talbot ends up getting in that machine. I'm just going to skip a little bit because there's so many things that happens. I have to just do a recap. And he soaks up all that gravitonium. Like I said, he was crazy before. Now he's even crazier. They go up to meet. The Confederacy comes to try and, start up stuff because their deal was broken with Hale. And so Talbot goes up, tries to fight them at first, and then ends up leading them, and he turns his back on Coulson, says Coulson has stabbed him in the back and isn't on his side, and he throws May and Daisy, and he throws Coulson and May into this cell, and then he gives Daisy up to Cassius, whatever, and it's actually the dad of the one from the future, and so that he can have her as like a weapon, because obviously Destroyer of Worlds, Quake is like, everybody wants her. Obviously, to be honest, can you blame him? No. Like, she is like the most strongest like girl ever, so of course you're gonna want her on your side. But anywho, I was so pissed and angry because you don't touch her, you know. But yeah, and obviously Daisy though got out of it, and she met back up with May and Coulson, and Deke, who was also there. And they end up fighting their way off the ship and away from Talbot. Then Talbot goes back to Earth, believing that he can stop Thanos single-handedly. And obviously that doesn't turn out, though. Daisy does defeat him in the end. They change the future. Fitz ends up dying from the result of the Talbot's attack on Chicago. Fitz ends up dying. Mac and Robin's mom ends up surviving, and at the very end, we see that Coulson is dying, in fact, from his deal with Ghost Rider, and the team finds out about it towards the end of the season, and they're all distraught about it. We're going to talk more about that later, because obviously that was one of the biggest parts of this season, and we will talk about that later on. But yes, and he does go off with May, and has his heartfelt goodbyes to everybody else in the team, goes off with May to Tahiti, where he will spend the rest of his days with May there. And I'm going to talk about that. That is like one of the saddest moments of TV that I've ever seen, and I will talk about that and how much I bawled watching it for the second time, because I did. But let's first get into all the things that happens to our characters this season. One by one. And first, I think we should really start with, I think we're going to start with Coulson, because this whole time he knew he was dying, and he knew he was going to die, but he was keeping it from the rest of his team. At the beginning of season 5, we don't really see that. We see he's kind of hurting. He kind of seems like he's hiding something. But you don't really hear much about, you know, what's going on with them. And then when they get back to the past, I mean, we see that he is dying, in fact. But when he's in the future, we don't really know too much. But when Daisy said she wasn't going to come back because she was too afraid that she was a destroyer of worlds, he's like, no, we need you for the future. And we were kind of confused, like, what are you talking about, Coulson? Obviously, he was talking about he needed her because he was not going to be there for too much longer. And we know since season 1 that he's been training Sky up basically to be his replacement, and to take up the family business, basically, and after he's gone. So we see that, but we don't know till he gets back to the past that he is in fact dying. And my oh my, y'all, every time I've watched the clips, like back in the day. I watched it several times because it was so sad but so good. Like when Daisy and the rest of the team found out, and they were all hurting so much, and Daisy says, like, there's nothing without you. Y'all, when I tell you I cried, I did. Again, and I like I said, I watched the clip on YouTube before, like, even after I watched it for the first time, but like every time I cry. It's just so sad. And then him with May, and then like they're still trying to figure out their relationship, and she's just so upset with him. They both are for keeping it from them. And we're like, are May and Coulson ever gonna happen? Like, and thankfully, yes, they do. They do get together at the very, very end, and they end up spending the last of his days together. But yeah, this season was really tough on Coulson. It's basically just him dealing with the fact that he is going to die and he is going to leave all these people that he loves behind. I don't think that Coulson was ever afraid about dying necessarily. Like, we see in the episode where he's trying to close the rift, and it's like the episode where everybody finds out. And we see that his fear is that none of this was real. Everything that has happened since he was killed by Loki and Avengers, and the whole Tahiti program, that he was still on the operating table, and everything that's happened since was just a figment of his imagination, and he was just dreaming all of it, basically. And that was like his worst fear. It wasn't that he was afraid of dying. He was afraid that everything that had happened, because so many good things had happened to him. He had this amazing team he considers family. He got a daughter that he wished he always had. He got her. He got May. He got that love there. And I think that was really what he was struggling with the whole time, was not as much dying, but leaving behind those people. And he even says it to May when she's trying to get him to take that serum, that what might save his life. He even says, I'm just afraid about leaving you. And she says, well, then don't. Obviously, he does. But he just created this family that he just loves so much. And I think he's worried about what's going to happen. That's why he was saying, no, we need you for the future. Because he's worried. He doesn't know what's going to happen to the people he loves. He doesn't know what's going to happen to S.H.I.E.L.D. when he goes. And I think that's his main concern, is what's going to happen to everyone, what's going to happen to this team when I leave. And that was just his main thing, was I've got to get everybody ready for this, prepared for the future without me. Even when they didn't know that he was dying, he was trying to prepare them for it. And it was a big season for him, dealing with that and accepting it. And I'll tell y'all, it was just so sad to rewatch. But he did create a legacy, and he created a group, a team of heroes, and I think we can all just, Coulson's just the best guy. He's one of the best characters in the MCU, and they said it in Avengers. He was the one that brought the team of the Avengers together. So, like when Skye says, there's nothing without you, really, we're thinking, is there? Because you were even the one that brought them together. You not only brought this team together, created this team, but you also even helped them become a team, the Avengers. So he's just this big person in everybody's life that just connects everything. He is S.H.I.E.L.D. She says, you want a symbol, you are S.H.I.E.L.D. There's nothing without you. And really, you have to wonder. Coulson's been a part of S.H.I.E.L.D. He's been a part of this universe. Since even he was in Captain Marvel. So it's just hard to imagine without him. And that's just really what season 5 is just him dealing with that. So that's what's going on with Coulson. May, and I'm gonna talk about May and Skye. May and Daisy next, because that him and his looming death is really what is driving them this season. At the beginning of the season, obviously they don't know, and May, she's just trying to fight her way through like she does every time. Nothing much is really going on for her there, I don't think. I think she just wants to go back home. Obviously, the whole team does, really. But when she gets back and she finds out that Coulson is dying, that's it for her. She just immediately goes into the mode, okay, we're going to save him. And obviously, Daisy, that little cute family unit, her and May come up with that idea. Yeah, we're going to definitely save him. And it's not even a second thought in May's mind. She's like, yes, we're going to come up with this idea and we're going to save him. No doubt. And it's just May having to come to terms with, I can't make up his mind. Ultimately, it is his decision, but I think May's just having a hard time at that and accepting it. She has already lost a lot in her life, and she lost Andrew, and thinking about losing him. And he obviously isn't so much to her for so long, even before the show, way before the show, they knew each other. And he's just that one person that May can trust, that May just, she loves Daisy, she loves Simmons, she loves Fitz, but he's just her, number one, and she can't picture anything. She's like Daisy, she can't picture life without him. And so she does a lot of things that, you think May wouldn't do. Like May would not have dropped that odium that could have fixed the problem with Talbot. if they had not been for Coulson, but it's Coulson, so of course she's going to do it. She's going to do anything she can to help save him, because that's just how fiercely she loves him, and it's just so beautiful. So that's really May this season, is her just doing everything in her power to save Coulson. And in the end, she does accept. I can't make you do this. It's really up to you. And she goes along with it, and she says, okay, that's your decision, and she ends up going to Tahiti with him, and is with him till he dies there. Just really the saddest thing ever. But that was May this season. So Daisy this season, at the beginning, we see her fighting to stay alive, and here she is trying to save Simmons, because that girl, she definitely has got it from Coulson. She is loyal to the T, and she will do anything to help save the ones that she loves. Because, mind you, this is her family. This is her one and only family. She does not have any other family. This team is her family, and she's going to do everything she can for them. She does everything she can to save Simmons, and then we see she does everything she can when she gets back to save Coulson. And that's just her number one goal. And a lot of people were like, what are you doing? You're being reckless. And honestly, that made me so mad, because I'm like, how do you not see this? If it were your father, you'd be doing the same exact thing. And they were all just judging her so harshly, and she's just trying to save her family. And a lot of people, and like Yo-Yo, I love her, but she made me really upset this season. When she was saying, like, you left us, and you didn't tell us about the mission, when she went and got the centipede serum and dug up Jying to help save, Coulson. And she's like, you left us. And I'm like, number one, Yo-Yo, she did not leave you. She went on one mission to try and help save the man that she considers her father. And if any daughter would definitely do that. Like, if my dad was dying and there was some way that I could help save him, 100% I would do it. And I know Yo-Yo would. Like, if it were Mac, 100% she would. So that really did upset me. And, like, the whole thing, I mean, she was just really, Daisy was just really, I feel like, crapped on this season. The poor thing, Fitz, who she considers her brother, cut into her, kidnapped her, cut into her, and performed surgery on her neck. That could have paralyzed her and could have caused her indirectly to destroy the world. And that was like her biggest fear also this season, was that she did not want to destroy the world. She didn't even want to go back in time because she was afraid she would do it. And I'll talk about that in a little, because she also does have some stuff there that needs to be talked about. But she goes through that, and then she's like, okay, we're gonna have to. She said she'll never forgive him. Obviously, she will, because, like I said, they're brother and sister. They go through things, but they will forgive each other. But she goes all through all that, and then you're gonna put him in a cell because I love Fitz, but he did that. He's got that crazy doctor guy in his brain, and he can't be trusted right now. And so, yeah, she put him in there, and I love Simmons to death, y'all. Y'all don't know how much I love Simmons. She's just my girl. And I love Fitz. I love Yo-Yo. I love them all. But I really felt bad for Daisy, because Simmons just was like, I know this is your order. Because I think Daisy was pretty nice about it. Like, no, Simmons, like, maybe we'll make it when I get back. We can, talk about letting him out. But not right now, not while I'm gone. And Simmons just goes ahead and like, sorry, Daisy. Takes him out, and like poor Mac, Mac thinks that Simmons dying, that belief that Simmons and Yo-Yo have that they can't be touched or whatever. Anywho, I like to talk about that because that's not Daisy centered, but yeah, they go behind Daisy's back and all that. And then Yo-Yo, they go on that mission, and Yo-Yo ends up killing Ruby, and Daisy was like, oh, I almost got to her. And then, like, whenever she confronts Yo-Yo about it, Yo-Yo's like, well, you lied to us about, the mission with May, and, like, you left us, and all this. And I'm like, you're crazy, girl. Like, she's just trying to save a dad, and like she didn't leave you. She went on one mission, and they all said like, oh, that's what you do, you leave. And I'm like, she does not. She just was trying to save the guy that she considers her father, like she'd do for, y'all. Anyhow, I just felt bad for her this season. Also this season she like I said, she had to deal with the fact that, oh, she might really destroy the world. And for Daisy, that is like, um, that's like the worst thing possible. Obviously, she's been fighting for since season one to be this hero, and every season it seems like, she's hurting people she loves. She's somehow hurting the world, even though she's trying so desperately to save it. Like season one, obviously, she had issues there. Um, Season two, um, her parents were evil, and she felt like she was hurting the team that way. And then and her mom was trying to kill all these innocent people, and she felt bad about that she was dragging them down then. And then season three, she's controlled by Hive, and then Lincoln dies. And then season four, she is with the framework, and bad things happen there, and she just feels like death follows everywhere she goes. And like she even told Deke this season, yeah, you don't want to get close to me because you're going to end up dying. And she sees that with Coulson. She got close with Coulson. Oh, now Coulson's dying. She even said, oh, Lincoln, my mom, she like had a list of like people that got close to her that ended up dying. And like I said back in season one, when May and Coulson, it goes back to that, when May and Coulson talked to that agent that helped the agent that took Sky to the orphanage, and all the other agents were ended up killed by Cal when he was trying to search for her. And he said, yeah, don't get close to that girl because everywhere she goes, death follows. Well, Daisy's like, yeah, that holds true. Every time, somebody ends up dying, and she feels like it's because of her, and now she's a destroyer of the world. She's gonna kill everybody. Like, seems about true to me. And so she's just always. Daisy is always going through something terrible. I know a lot of people might say, well, there's other people in the team that go through a lot, but y'all, I don't know how anybody could have it worse than Daisy. She lost her parents. She didn't have a family. Now she's lost Coulson at the end of the season. She's just had it really rough, and the number of people that she loves, is getting smaller. Like, she did lose Fitz. Everybody lost Fitz towards the end of the season, and so it's another rough season for Daisy. But she got through it like always, because that girl is one tough cookie. I don't know how she survived this long. I would be in a gutter somewhere, curled up into a ball, but not Daisy. She's an amazing character. Like I've said, y'all, she's one of my favorite characters ever on TV. I just love her development, her story. It's just, and I can't wait to see how they wrap it up in season 7. But we'll talk about that in season 7's video. So moving on from Daisy, we have got, I'm going to go with Mac. Let's talk about Mac. So Mac this season, not too much happens. At the beginning of the season, we see he's still struggling with what happened in season 4. How he had to, Hope, the framework Hope disappeared in his arms, and he told Yo-Yo, what kind of father am I that I'm grieving more than I did when my real daughter died when she was a baby? I'm grieving more for this fake framework daughter of mine. And what kind of father am I? And Yo-Yo says, well, to you, she was real, and you spent all that time with her. Don't feel bad about it. But he does struggle with it, and we see that he takes some of his fatherly instincts and puts it towards Flint, the boy in the future who ends up getting them back to the past. He's an Inhuman, and him and Yo-Yo just put everything they have into helping him, and I think it ends up making him heal, kind of, from his loss, helping another kid, out, and so I think that Flint was really good for him, because he helped a kid out, and it just made him feel more, I think, complete there. So that was really good. And then when he gets back, he's having to deal with Yo-Yo, who we can talk about Yo-Yo now too, I guess, what happens to her this season, because I think their two storylines are so kind of intertwined, kind of like May and Coulson's this season. But she tells him, we're not going to lose ourselves, I promise. Well, she does end up losing herself, when she sees future Yo-Yo, and she's all been killed several times and brought back to life, and this, that, and the other, and she says, you're trapped. Well, she thinks, okay, well, I'm invincible, and it kind of really messes up with her mind, and she thinks that she can do anything, and she'll be okay, and she just gets this really reckless, like I said, she blames Daisy, she blames everybody, she thinks that no one's listening to her, and that, oh, she can't die, this, that, and the other, and puts herself into harm's way all the time, and Mac is just like, what is wrong with you, girl? This is not how we do things. She killed Ruby. He was like, that's obviously way against Mac's code of beliefs. He obviously thinks that killing should be the last thing you should do. You should try everything else before that. And he just can't believe what she's doing. And but she's just reckless. She just wants to. I think it all comes back to she knows that Mac is dead in the future, and she wants to prevent that at all costs. And she thinks, well, I can't die, so I can just die, protecting the timeline and saving Mac. And so she just goes all gung ho for like that, and gets kind of reckless and blames other people. And obviously, she's better towards the end of the season, and she realizes, I think, that she was a little over the top there, like when she told Coulson, her feelings, and that she doesn't think, she really cares for him, and she wishes that it wasn't that way, but his life isn't worth all the other people, and then he ends up not taking that serum, and she's like trying to save him, doing the on him, and he wakes up, and she's like, oh, thank goodness, because she thought she had done it, and she was like praying over him, like, please don't, what I said, this and that. So you can see that she's kind of starting to feel a little bad for her reckless behavior, and her beliefs that she can't die and stuff. And her beliefs that she can't die also affected Simmons, because then Simmons started to believe it, and then Fitz started to believe it, and they all thought they were invincible. Obviously they weren't. We find that out at the end of the season when Fitz dies, that, well, they weren't invincible after all. But yeah, and then Simmons thinks it's because, we find out that Deke is their grandson, so Yo-Yo makes them believe it, so it's just kind of like one trail that Yo-Yo kind of just caused all this. And then we see Yo-Yo help Simmons trick Mac, and her and Simmons has this thing where they believe that she won't die, and they have these different poison glasses set up, and if she'll drink all these waters, and then she won't drink the poison one, though, kind of like Russian roulette kind of crazy thing. And she tricks, and then Simmons pretends like she's dying, and Mac, oh my gosh, Mac actually thinks she's dying. And then she's really not, though. It was a trick. And they lock him in the thing, and Switch fits out with him and lock him in the cell. And he's just, at that point, I just feel bad for Mac. He's like, everybody has lost their minds. And honestly, they kind of did this season. And he was kind of the only one. That's another reason why he's the director, because he was just so level-headed, like, what the heck is going on here? And he's just such a good leader and so compassionate through it all, but as everybody else is slowly losing it. Understandably so, because they've had crazy lives. But so yeah, that's Mac's story, and then he ends up being the director towards the end, because, as I said, he's got such that compassionate heart. He's kind of level-headed. He knows what to do, and we see that throughout the season. And I pretty much already talked about Yo-Yo's arc. That was pretty much all that happened with her this season, which she thought was invincible, and that she couldn't die, and she just got real messed up because what she heard from the future her, and so that was pretty much her storyline this season. Simmons' storyline Well, at the beginning of the season, obviously, she was separated from Fitz again, and as Fitz calls it, they are, he thinks, well, we're cursed. And they just can never seem to be together, even after, because they do get married this season. Such a big moment for all the Fitz Simmons fans. In the 100th episode, they do get together, they do get married, and then we find out that Deke is her grandson, and but yeah, at the beginning of the season, though, before all that, they were separated, and that was really the driving force when they got back together to get them married, because oh my gosh, we keep getting separated, so we just got to make it official, because we can't stand to be apart anymore. And even after they get married, they come up with the pact that we're never going to leave each other's side. Obviously, they do end up leaving each other's side again, on the missions and everything, and all the crazy stuff that goes on in season 5. But they do get married when they get back, and then Simmons has to deal with the fallout of Fitz going slightly mad, with the doctor, still affecting him in his brain, and obviously what he did with Daisy, and she's having to deal with that, and also having to deal with, Daisy, this girl that she's considered her sister. She's kind of having to be a leader now, and take and be like the leader and make these rules and everything, and I think that's kind of hard for her. And then she also wants Fitz to be okay, and she thinks Fitz is alright, and that doing these things is kind of what has to happen now. Obviously they've been through so much, her and Fitz, that she just kind of starts to believe or understand him, I think, even. And like I said, she thinks she's invincible, because Deke is proof, supposedly, that they make it to the future and have a daughter. Obviously, like I said, they're not. We find out in the season 7 finale that they can change things, and Fitz does end up dying. But yeah, that's just really Simmons. She kind of starts to, I don't want to say lose it, but yeah, she kind of does. Like, she tricks Mac and fakes that she's dying. Like, that's not really Simmons' personality, so you can see she's kind of changing there, after all the hard things she's gone through, and agreeing with Fitz that some things, has to be done for the greater good or whatever. She's still the same Simmons, sweet Simmons. She's just kind of a little more rougher now. So that's pretty much, nothing too big happens to her this season. I mean, she was captured at the beginning, but really it was just a Fitz Simmons, season, and focus on the relationship more. And obviously Fitz does go through a little bit more this season, with his conflicting, in his brain, the real Fitz and the framework Fitz. Obviously, like I said, he thinks he's got this mentality that, certain things have to be done for the greater good. Like, he kidnaps Skye and does all that, performs that surgery on her, even though, it's really risky. Obviously, him and Daisy are really, really close now. I mean, they've been close since season 1. Like I said, they're like brother and sister. So him doing that just kind of shows you his mentality, that we've got to do bad things to do that, for the greater good. So Fitz changes. That really changes Fitz. I think also being separated from Simmons for so long and being in prison by himself, I mean, I think that also affected him, and he was already going slightly mad because of the doctor, and I think that just kind of added to it, and added on top. He's always separated from Simmons, this, that, and the other, and he just snapped. And so that's basically what he was dealing with this season. I think I've gone through all the main characters, what they went through. And at the end of the season, we see that they have defeated, Talbot, and we see Coulson going off with May, and Fitz does die, but we see that there's a plan in motion to rescue the Fitz from the future that's in the chamber with Enoch in space, to rescue that Fitz and bring him back to the, bring him back to Earth, and have that Fitz. And so really, I mean, that Fitz was dead, but they're gonna get Fitz back. And so there is some light at the end of the tunnel. Like I said, I did leave after season 5, and I did only watch one episode of season 6. But obviously, I've come back now. Like I said at the beginning of the video, it was a lot, but knowing that they were going to get a Fitz back helped. And when I'm, through the rewatch, and I also know some things about season 7 that have given me hope that it's all going to work out good in the end. And so I'm excited to see what happens next. And thank you guys for watching my season 5 video. This was truly the saddest, hardest. I mean, it's so hard to watch this season, and I cry every time I watch it. I mean, like every time I watch the scenes from it and Coulson dying, y'all, it was really hard to watch. So many people go through so many painful things this season. Like I said, Yo-Yo's arm's cut off. She goes through that, thing she's going to lose Mac, and having the weight of the world on her shoulders, thinking she's invincible, and then Matt kind of has to lose, her, and then Fitz obviously goes crazy. Him and Simmons are separated again. Their relationship, has the big moment where they got married, but also it has the lows, going through all that and thinking if they're going to make it or not, to Fitz actually dying in the end, and then Coulson dying. Obviously, that affects the entire team, especially May and Daisy. May, that's her soulmate. Daisy, that's her dad. And Daisy's lost so much already, and now she's having to lose her father. So that broke my heart for her. It broke my heart for May. Everyone in this season went through so much, and it was just really a really tough season and really sad to watch again. But it was a great season nonetheless. A lot of things happened this season that were good for the characters' developments, and a lot of interesting plots, but just a lot of very sad and tough things as well. So thank you for watching this video. Please stick with me, and I really hope you will watch my season 6 review video. I'm not going to say rewatch because, as I said before, I only watched one episode of season 6, but I hope you guys stick with me and stick with me till the end. And I can't wait to continue on this journey of watching this show. And yeah, let's just send this show off right and give it the tributes that it deserves. And I'll see you guys in the next video.